Hello friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I am Neva. This is Reading with Neva, and today we are doing a reading journal flip through. So this is going to be a little bit different than basically any video I've ever done on my channel because I don't really do planning videos on my channel, but I put up a poll earlier in the year asking if people wanted to see reading journal and planner flip throughs, and it was a resounding yes. So we're going to be doing this. However, my setup for 2025 is a little bit different than any setup I've ever done for my reading journal. Usually I stick to one reading journal the entire year while also using things like Storygraph and then also using a spreadsheet. This year, I'm actually using 2 digital reading journals to kind of come up with my my dream reading journal that I will have made later on in the year to be used in 2026. I may choose to start using it in 2025. We'll kind of see how I feel about it. I do like to kind of test them out before I commit to them for a full year, but that is what we're doing today. So I always do use Storygraph, and then I use a spreadsheet from with Allie. I will link all that down below. This year, I think I'm going to be, for 2025, I think I will be using Storygraph and Fable both. I want to see some of the features that Fable has. I know that both Fable and Storygraph are run and created by POC women, and so I do want to be able to utilize both of those. And then I will still be using a spreadsheet from with Allie. I really love her spreadsheets, but I am currently waiting for the 2025 spreadsheet to be released. I do have the 5-year spreadsheet, so if the 2025 one is not released before the beginning of 2025, I will just use my 5-year until that one is released. I do keep my 5-year one up to date as well. So that is what we're doing. But I do have a custom journal that I had made for 2024. I will be using that for some things, and then I will be using my 2025, the journal that I bought like halfway through 2024. It was like $7 on sale, I think, at the time, and it's more of a portrait style, or it is a portrait style, but it's more of a bullet journal style journal, and I will probably be doing all of my actual reviews in that, and then utilizing the reading journal I had last year for some other things. So we're gonna walk through the reading journal I had last year first, and basically I'm going to explain what pieces of that I will be utilizing throughout the year, because these I'm so sorry, I'm a little bit under the weather today, but this reading journal will be utilized throughout 2025 for me. I just don't love how my I don't love the review pages anymore. They don't really work for me very well, and I don't like the way that the review pages are linked. So I'll kind of walk through what I mean as we go through. So we're going to start by walking through the journal that I used last year. So I'm going to put myself over in the corner now so that you can actually see the screen recording of my iPad. So this is the, what is this called? This is the cover page. This doesn't have any links or anything like that. It's just decorative. And then we get into this journal belongs to Reading with Neva, which is me. This is my first page, and this is a landscape planner, obviously. So I'm thinking of doing a portrait planner for like the next custom. This is all of the helpful info. These are all linked here. So if I click on like Goodreads, it would take me to Goodreads if I wanted to. These fonts are also linked, so there's a lot of links, but this is just from the creator of this planner, which is my friend Kristen, and I will link her down below as well. And then we have my journal index. So all of these headers here are all linked. So if I hold down and I go through, they turn blue, and that is because they're all linked to take me to different places in the journal, and then they're also linked up here in these tabs as well. All right, and then obviously here it just breaks them down, so if you want to go to like a specific reading goal page, you can use the index. Then I have 10 blank sections. I will walk you through the 3 that I already have set up. Usually these are set up throughout the year with like yearly challenges. I probably will add a like favorite quotes page in here that will be, I have like templates for this journal as well, so I usually paste in like a template of my favorite quotes, or a quotes template, and then I write all my favorite quotes throughout the year, so they're all in one space. So let's go through the 3 that I have set up. So the first one is 25 in 2025 bingo. This is from Brianna from 4 Paws in a Book. She has an announcement video. I'll have everything that's in these sections linked down below for you if they are someone else's creation. So this was created by my friend Brianna from 4 Paws in a Book. There's a prompt for each of the 25 squares, and then you just pick a book that fits the prompt. So I picked mostly arcs. I have a couple of arcs in here, I think 2, and then also anything that I already own. I think the exception to this is this one, which was for one night only. I don't own this book, but I believe it was like a 2025 release or a highly anticipated read, so I put that there. But everything else in here is either an arc or something that I actually own. Then the next blank section I have is series and friends faves. This is for my backlist series and also my reading my friends' favorite books project. So I already spun for these, I don't know, a few weeks ago at the time of filming this. I spun for these. The series are subject to change, but basically every 2 months are dedicated to something. So January and February, I'll read Leandra's favorite books. March to April, I'll read not the Gunslinger, Dark Knight series by Stephen King, and so on and so forth. Of course, these, I haven't officially announced this because I do like for my friends to be surprises if possible. So if you're seeing this, you kind of get a sneak peek, but also these series are subject to change if I DNF a series or I decide I don't want to read it. And then the last blank section that I already have set up is my 2025 self-destruct. So this is a board that I made for myself. There are no prompts. These are just all owned books that need to be read, shelved, or unhauled. So that is what these are. All right, now we're just going to kind of do a general flip through. We're going to start with my reading goals. In this section, we have my reflection, my reading goals, and my most anticipated books of the year. So last year's reflection, this is just, I already set this up like we were already in 2025. So these are all reflection from 2024. So my favorite book of the year was Magnolia Park's A Long Way Home, and I wrote a little blurb about why I loved it. My runners up are these 6 books. It was actually pretty hard for me to narrow it down to 6 honorable mentions. I'm going to be honest, but these were the 6 that stood out to me the most when I was looking through my 6-star reads. Up here we have my last year's goal, which was 120 books. My pages read, or last year's goals, so these were how many of everything I read. So this is actually not correct. I put this in as like, oh wait. Yeah, I put this in incorrectly. So actually ignore this. Ignore this. Because what I did was I accidentally put this in as like my goals and then what this year's goals are, but ignore that. So these were my goals for last year. I know that for books read, I exceeded that. It's 126, I think, at the time of filming this. My pages read is still a bit behind, so I probably won't actually fill these in until actually the end of the year, but I know I didn't hit 50% for NetGalley. And then these were a new author I tried and loved, which was Megan Quinn, a new genre I tried and loved, which is historical fiction, because I could have put also Chris and Hannah in here because I did try them and I've loved them so far. And my least favorite book was Mean One, even though technically I gave it 2 stars for the end. It was terrible. And then books I still need to finish, I don't fill that in basically any year. And then we have my reading goals for this year. So my Goodreads goal or my book goal is 52 books. My NetGalley review goal is 80%. The genres I want to read more of: historical fiction, dark academia. I do read a lot of dark academia, but I kind of fell off of that this year, or in 2024, so I would like to get back to it in 2025. And then authors I want to read more of: Chris and Hannah, but also Megan Quinn. I also want to read more of her books as well. I just didn't put it in here. And then I have, I think there are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 books that are physical TBR that I would like to read. I realize that these are books that I'm supposed to have already own. I do technically own Spark of the Everflame on my Kindle, and I do have Heart of Frost and Scars through KU, but I don't actually own Jack the Ripper, Stalking Jack the Ripper, but I do want to read it, and I do have it as a library. I can get it on my library, so it's fine. Other bookish goals that I have: 2 bookish videos a week, 1 vlog and 1 sit down video, monthly wrap-ups both as Instagram posts and YouTube videos, and then monthly TBRs as both Instagram and YouTube. These are anticipated releases. I don't keep track of anticipated releases. I will probably honestly get rid of this page or figure out a different way to use this page. I don't know really how else. I think the page is so cute. They look like little note cards, but I don't really ever use it. Next, we have the What's on My TBR. These are just shelves. I have not actually filled these out. Basically, I have a physical, a Kindle, an audio, and a Kindle Unlimited TBR shelf. So I think what I will be doing this year with this shelf is going through and seeing all of the physical books that I have and putting them on here. And I can duplicate these pages. These actual bookshelf pages do not have, they're not linked. So like there's no links attached to like the book covers. So I can duplicate these as many times as I want. So I'm probably going to put all of the physical books that I own, all of the Kindle books that I own, which is so many. So I don't know how I will utilize this exactly because I have so many Kindle books. And then my audio TBR, and then I will keep track this year of the Kindle Unlimited books that I read as well. Here we have book clubs. This I'm basically not using. I'm not even going to really walk through this one because the only 2 of these that are still really in existence are the Cats Book Nerds book clubs and the B&K. I will use those pages, but to be honest, I'm not going to walk you through the other 2 because I don't participate in those ones anymore, or they don't exist. So this is the B&K one, which is run by my friends Brittany and Kelsey, hence B&K. And I will be utilizing this page, and I will probably just redo the other 2 that I'm not going to use. These are ARC trackers, so some of these are already filled out. These are all of my ARCs at a glance. So these are all the ones I've gotten so far that are being published in 2025 throughout the year. And then we have a requested ARCs page, which I don't use. I don't keep track of what ARCs I've requested. I'll be honest. I may try to use this year. But then I also have to keep track of whether it's pending, approved, or denied. And I don't keep track of ARCs unless they've been approved. And then we have backlist ARCs, which I need to fill this out. This is also able to be duplicated. And then declined ARCs, which I don't use. So in a new journal, I would get rid of this because I don't keep track of declined ARCs. Then here I have a review tracker, which I do use. I put the title of the book, the author, the publisher, not always the publisher, but I can put that in there. And then the pub date, and then I keep track of where I reviewed it. So I always try to review via NetGalley and Amazon, but I also have Storygraph, Instagram, and Goodreads as an option. Next, we have my series tracker. This is just the series library, so you would just put the book. I put the cover of the first book in the series, and then I put the series name underneath. And then when you click this is linked. So when you click this, it takes you to a series overview where you can put the book. Like I put the first book in the series cover, and then I put the name, the author, the genre, and the number of books, and then the overall rating of the entire series. Then I put a little series review here. Basically what the series is about. And then I believe there's like 5. There's 20 slots here for you to put in the books. So I will put in the book of the series and then the date that I read it. That's how I keep track. Okay, this is linked incorrectly, apparently. Okay, there we go. Then we have the author collection. So this is my author library. So the way that this works is, I already have one. Okay, thank you. The way that this works is these are all A through Z. So you would put an author in here, and then if I click like Z, there's a little, so I can zoom in. There's a little rainbow here, and the rainbows change, but they will move up the line or down the line, so you know which number or which letter you're on, because then you can duplicate these pages as well. So I put the author's name at the top on this dotted line, an author photo, which I usually find through Google, and then I put all of their backlist books. So if I will set this up at some point, probably as I read books by authors that I know that I love, and pick up books that I know that I love by these authors. I keep track of them here in my author collection, so I can make sure that I am reading more of their backlist if that's a thing that I want to do. I actually need to go through all the books I read last year and decide if these are people that I want to continue reading or not. And honestly, I use the author collection more for anticipated releases, and I use the actual anticipated releases just because usually it's authors that I like already that I'm picking up new stuff from them. So that's what these are for. Then we have the reading challenges. So in here I have the Cat Book Nerds Challenge. I need to find out what the prompts are for this year, but there are 52. This goes for the entire year. And then we have a reflection space down here. You can reflect on how you did. Then we have the Goodreads Best of the Year. I don't know. I think this is supposed to be for like that year. I'm going to use this in 2025 to pick one book out of each space or out of each genre that I want to read. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a winner. I think for next year for Goodreads, I'm going to basically just pick one book out of the top 10 or the top 20. I might do out of the top 10. I'm probably gonna do out of the top 10. And then I will put like the date that I started reading them, date I finished reading them, the favorite book out of the ones I read, the least favorite, an author I loved, the winner I agree with, the winner I don't agree with, and outside my comfort zone. So that's what I'll do, and then write a reflection on that. And then you have the Alphabet Challenge, which you pick a theme. So I think this year I'm actually gonna do dark romance. And then you try to find a book that starts with each letter of the alphabet. And that's what that is. So I think this year I will do dark romance to utilize my Kindle Unlimited subscription. Next, we have bookish favorites. We have authors and we have narrators. I use this as a way to keep track of favorite authors and the books that I've read by them that I love. This is actually in conjunction. I use this in conjunction with my authors pages. So here where you have your author collection, I use it in conjunction with that. So I will but you can fit 3 authors per page, and I just duplicate the page, and then I can put like the favorite book that I've read by them. So usually what I do is once I've read an author's backlist, I put in here what my favorite stuff is, the author, the gender, the nationality, the genres that they write, their birthday, if I want to look that up, and then number of books that they have written, and of course that can change, and then I can put my favorite book that they've written, and of course that could change as well, and why I love the author. And then I have favorite narrators. This is helpful for me to keep track of my favorite narrators that I listen to for audiobooks, so I can put what they have narrated. It also helps me keep track. This page has been really, in my 2024 journal, I use this page a lot. Like I use this page more than I use the favorite authors page. If I'm gonna be honest, I was updating this page all the time because we had a lot of problematic authors that came out last year, and I was able to put a sticker over the ones that I was like, oh, I love this narrator, and then I found out they were not great, and I was able to make a note of that. So I do love this page. Then you have your mid-year stats. So you have your book freakout tag here and all of your mid-year stats. And then we get into our monthly journal, right? So I have my January set up. All of the months are set up exactly the same. So you have a reading plans calendar, an art calendar, a monthly TBR, buddy reads, library books, what I read, what I listened to, what I watched, and a monthly wrap up. And then here I have 5 blank pages. So let's go through my 5 blank pages really quick. The only one that I have set up is for TBRathon 2025. I am choosing to do the bingo board, and I will be doing that. And I think what I will do is I will keep track of each book that I read with like a star rating or whatever. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this blank page, but That's my thought process. So let's go through all the pages. So this is my reading plans for January. Again, these book clubs, these are actually linked. Like if I click on this, it would take me to the Cats Book Nerds page or whatever page for here. I won't be utilizing these two. I'm probably going to cover these with washi and make them something else because I have 2 other book clubs that I could put here. And so this is just to remind me on the calendar page what books I need to read that month for book clubs. And then these are undated. I absolutely love that. I do get my journals undated so I can use them every single year, or if I want to go back to an old journal, I have that option. So I will date these, and then what I do is I keep track of the book that I read every day, and I think this will help me to stick to one book, or at least one book per format at a time throughout the year. Down here, these are what my social stats are. So for Instagram, YouTube, I used to do 2 YouTube channels. Now it's conglomerated into one, so I won't utilize the second one. And then TikTok and Patreon, that's what those are. And then at the end of each month in my reflection, I have spots for that as well. So I'm able to kind of reflect on like if channels grew or not. Then we have my ARC planner. So these are also linked. This will take me like to NetGalley. This will take me to the Book Sirens website as well. But I put all of the ARCs that I have. So any ARCs I have for NetGalley, any ARCs I have for Book Sirens, which I haven't been using Book Sirens, but I need to. And then any ARCs that I would have from indie authors. These are mostly like people that I'm reading their book, and they run their stuff through Discord or Instagram. Again, I date this. And then what I do with this calendar is I actually take the ARCs that I have over here on this sidebar and I put them on their release date so I know what day I need to read them by and review them by. This is my TBR for January. It's pretty self-explanatory. I put the title of the book, the format I will be reading it in, the length of the book, so in hours or in pages, a book club, if it's a book club or a buddy read, if it's an ARC, and then if it's an ARC, I do put the pub date, but otherwise I don't put the pub date. Here I already have this set up because I know what my first buddy read of 2025 will be. It will be with my friend Katie, and we will be reading The Spell Shop. And then down here, there's just enough room that I can put a rating here. I do have another buddy read like insert that I could use. I used it some last year, and I like that one better. So I would probably actually change this template to that one because it has like a mini review, and then I could just copy and paste it for each buddy read. These are any library books that I have that I have done. What, Ari? Use a knife. Sorry, Ari's trying to open an orange. Okay, so then we have library books. We have Tidal, the library that I got it from, if you have more than one library, or if you're using Libby. Or I actually will use this also to differentiate if I'm reading it on Libby or Hoopla. My due date, the time it goes back, because I think Hoopla does this too, but I know Libby will give you like an actual time that it will be returned. And then whether it's an on hold, a renewed, or a returned book. I don't use my library books page a lot. I probably should start. I'm going to be honest. And then these are the what I read books. So there is only 24 slots. I don't usually read more than 24 books in a single month. An exception here was when I did like the 30 and 30 challenge, but technically I didn't read more than 24 books in any one month because it ran from like the middle of March to like the middle of April. And so those 30 books or 31 books were spread out over 2 months. But these are actually linked to review pages, but I do not use these review pages. So I will show you actually what review pages I will be using when we walk through the other journal. So there's that, and then these are linked so you can jump between the two. And then, oops. And then at the end of the review pages, we have the what I listened to in January pages. I utilize this for music, but also mostly for podcasts. I like to keep track of the podcasts that I'm listening to, and then usually if I finish a podcast in the month, I will put the rating of the podcast, if I liked it, didn't like it, whatever. I don't really rate podcasts, but usually what I do is I put the podcast, I screenshot the podcast like cover art, and then I put what season I listened to at the bottom. That way I just know what I'm listening to. I'll put usually like season, blah, episode, blah. But if usually I finish an entire season within a month. So if I finish an entire season, I will just put that I listen to season 6 or whatever it is. Then we have what I watch in January. This is utilized for TV shows and movies, mostly TV shows. I don't watch a lot of movies, but this actually helps me keep track of how much fiction, like how many fictional shows I'm watching and how many like true crime documentary style ones I'm watching. So I usually will put, again, the like cover art for the show and then the season, and then down here I will sometimes put a rating, or I'll put the episode number that I watched. And then we have the TBRathon, and then you have these 5 blank sections, and then we have my wrap up for January. So the wrap ups look exactly the same for every month. You have your stats, how many books you read, how many arcs I read, how many buddy reads, how many pages, how many sprints. I had this put in here last year because I liked keeping track of how many sprints I was appearing on, whether they were my own sprints or friend sprints. I'll probably get rid of that. I probably won't even utilize it this year. I don't really keep track of that. And then audio time, so how much listening I did. And then we have my format, so physical, ebook, audiobook, and then a like a mixture. I probably will actually add to this whether that mixture was physical and audio or ebook and audio, because I do both of those things. I also will sometimes count it as a mixture if I read it physically and on my Kindle, because sometimes I do that as well. So there's just lots of ways that I do mixtures. Down here we have my rating system. I will be changing this for in my new journal when I get a new custom made, because I need up to 6 stars. So I need all of these, the 1 to 5 with the 0.25 in between, but then also a 6-star rating, because I do that. And then my average rating goes down here. And I pull my average rating from my spreadsheet, because my spreadsheet is the only place that I'm able to use a 6-star rating system. Down here is social growth, so I would take the numbers that I have from the beginning of the month and put them, and then see what they look like at the end of the month, compare them, and then what I do is I put the new number of people that I have in each spot, and then I put a plus blank or a minus blank with that number in parentheses. My reading goal, so this is my overall book goal for the year and how many I've actually read in the month. And then same with the NetGalley goal, what my goal is for the year and the percentage of it at the end of the month. Then we have favorite book of the month, least favorite book of the month, a new author I tried, and a favorite audiobook of the month, any series I started or finished in the month, and what I loved in January. So these are usually just like my top 3 books. And that's what all of those look like. So once we get through all of our months, all the months look exactly the same. I'm not going to walk through every month. Then we have our 10 blank spots, which I've already shown you what those are. And then we jump straight into yearly reading. So this is what I read. These can be duplicated. I'm going to be changing this so that these are actually what I read this year is actually what's connected to my review pages. Right now I have them connected to my review pages each month, and I don't like that. I would prefer that those were not linked and that they were all linked here, because then I can kind of color code like, oh, these were January books, these were February books, things like that. But then I can click this and it will jump to the review. And then we have my end of year check-in, which is a couple of pages. My battle of the books, which I love this. You compare 3 months worth of books. You pick your favorite out of those 3 months until you narrow it down to your overall favorite of the year. Then you have your yearly favorites. So 1 book a month goes here, and then any honorable mentions. There's only 6 honorable mentions. I probably would see if she could fit 12 honorable mentions. That way you had an honorable mention for each month. But I could duplicate this page and just kind of like blank this out, like put maybe like a blank square over this part, and just write like a reflection or something of the year, and then have those next 6. Then you have your yearly wrap up. So this is what I I will pull this at the end of this year, actually, for my 2024 journal. I'll pull it from Storygraph, and it'll be how many books you read, how many pages, how many arcs, how many your net gallery percentage, any buddy reads, and audio time, the format, your rating again, social growth throughout the year, which I can't actually, well, actually I can. I can pull at least my YouTube social growth. I do have that because YouTube does a yearly wrap up for you. And then your reading goal, how many you actually read, net gallery goal, your actual percentage, how many of each genre you read, how many books per month you read, your shortest and longest books of the year, and then how many books you read by page number. So less than 200, and then so on and so forth. Then here, these are just blank. So I have like I have 4, I think, blank pages, and then I have, which I can copy and paste these anywhere in the journal. These are what I use for like my templates. Then you have a lined page, which I use sometimes if I'm taking like book notes. And then you have a dotted grid and a square grid. I use this dotted grid sometimes if I have, last year I was using it if I have like a 6-star book and I would use a blank section in each month with this dot grid, and then I would actually put in my own book review. So if I felt that I wanted a full page, this was what kind of told me like, oh, you need to do I needed to do something that allowed me to have more of a bullet journal feel, was using this page last year. So that is all that is actually in this journal. So we're going to jump over to this journal, which is the portrait journal. This was a kind of a sort of a build your own journal. You got to pick your cover. I got to pick the color on the inside. So this is like the pink colorway. So I got to pick the tabs and the way that the reviews look on the inside. So I will show you all of that. And then I got to pick the number of books. I believe that this journal I think this journal at retail was like $15. I got it on a sale for around $8. And I just wanted to try it out. So I was like, well, this is on sale. I can kind of customize it a little bit. It walks you through like a whole thing. If you want to see a video on that, let me know in the comments, and I can make a video on how this was actually set up. But it lets me pick my number of books. I believe this journal goes up to like 500 books or something. I picked the lowest, which was 240. I think was like the least amount of books you could have. I'm not going to read 240 books theoretically. I read about 126 this year. At the time of filming this, it's possible I'll get up to about 128, maybe 130, but we only have a couple more days. I think at the time of filming this, we have 2 days left of the month. So I probably will sit at about 127 or 128, depending on if I finish another book this year. But what I've done to make this a little bit easier is I'm actually going to turn this, so it's going to be really weird in the recording because you're going to see me turn it, but I'm going to turn it so that I can see this a little bit better. So what I've done here is I've actually highlighted the pages that I'm going to use. So I used this same pink color and I just highlighted the pages that we're going to walk through because I'm not going to utilize every page in this notebook. I don't like every page in here. I don't like the monthly reading pages. I don't like the monthly wrap-ups. Those will be used in my other journal. So let's walk through the pages that I will actually be utilizing in here. So I got to pick my tab color, and again, I got to pick the number of books. I believe, like I said, there are about 240 books in here. I'm not going to count them all, but that's what I believe was the lowest number. So we're going to hit yearly reading first. So let's go in here. And I didn't highlight it here. I will go back and highlight this later for myself. But in my yearly reading, I did start filling this out. So I put the year that I am reading in up here. And then over here, these are all gray. And then it kind of makes it a darker gray. I don't know if you can tell that on camera. Like December is a lighter gray than the year. That just tells you where you are in your thing. And then if you click this go to yearly wrap up, it will take you to the yearly wrap up page, which I do actually kind of like this page, to be honest. I probably will utilize this page, but then you can click the go to yearly reading and it takes you back to that yearly reading page. So my goal for 2025 is 52 books. I explained why. I have a goals video. I'll try to remember to link it. And then the daily pages I want to read this year, I would like to stick to my 100 pages a day. I don't always hit 100 pages a day, but I like to average that. This is the daily time, which I think is supposed to be like in minutes. I don't ever do that, so I don't use that. And then I can put the actual number of books and the average pages I read per day if I keep track of that. And then here is a color key, so you can keep track of not only the minutes but also the pages that you've read throughout the day. And I'm gonna try to keep up with that, but I can't really promise anything. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna click. What is it doing? There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and click this little hamburger menu here. And we're gonna go to the reading goals page because I am utilizing this. So I basically just took all my reading goals from my other journal and I put them in here just so that I have them in 2 different spots in case for some reason it gets erased out of one or whatever. So this one, I did put 126 because at the time of recording this, that's what I'm at for this year. And then for last year, 2024. And then for 2025, I want to read 52. These are the dates that I will be running my journal from. And then I can keep track of my progress here in this tracker if I want to. I don't know that I'll use that. And then I can put at the end of the year, I have read blank books of blank this year. And then of course, I just brought over my book goals. And then these are the 3 reading challenges I really want to do this year. These are specifically on YouTube. I also think Rom-Comathon is coming back in February, so I need to add that to this as well. I can list any things that would help me achieve my goals, why the goals are important to me. I haven't done that. And then down here, I will be making a reading mood board. So this is just going to be like dream stuff, right? So like my dream reading corner and things like that. I'll find those pictures on Pinterest. And then I will be using the book of the month page. This is basically, I will put the year at the top and then each month will get a book. So whatever my favorite book of the month, book of each month was, will go on this page. Then we have the My Library page. This is my favorite page in the entire book. So I will show you this really quick. I did already put the Spell Shop because the Spell Shop is the first book I will be reading for 2025. Already picked the book that I would be reading and I'm buddy reading this with Katie. But I wanted this kind of set up a little bit so I could show you how I'm going to utilize this page. So I will put the book cover, obviously, where the book cover goes. And then instead of doing this where she has title, author, and then a rating, I will be actually covering up the title and the author and putting the pages or hours, however long the book was, here. And then where this pink washi is, which I will move this piece really quick so I can show you, we do have a star rating. So if this is 1 through 5, this journal did come with alternate covers and with a sticker pack. And the sticker pack in here, I'm going to show you really quick. These stickers fit perfectly. You have to resize them, but they do fit. If you resize them correctly, they will fit perfectly over the stars on here. However, her stars only go from 1 to 5, and then you get a 0.25 or a half rating, I believe, is how her stickers are. Let me actually just check really quick because I have them saved in here. Yeah, so you get the full star rating and then the half star rating for each 1 through 5. So I will mess with these stickers and I do cut a bit more. Like if it's a 0.75, then I'll take like the 5-star sticker and cut off a little bit from the 5th star and stuff like that. I do modify them to work for me. But if it is a 6-star book, then this is not going to work for me. So I will take this little piece of washi and I will fit it over the top and I will put 6 stars. So that is why that's set up that way. So let me show you. So I have 20 pages of book, 20 pages in this library, and there are 3 rows of 4. So let's take 20 times, what is that, 12? Yeah, so there's 240 books in here. That was the lowest I could go. She didn't have another option. I think the next option up was like 480 books or something. I'm not going to read that many. So there's 20 pages. There's plenty of room in this. I mean, you can have a journal that will chart up to 1,000 books, which is crazy. I'm not going to read that many in a year, but it makes it so that if you wanted to use this for more than 1 year, you could. Like if you are a person who maybe only reads 10 books a year, which is awesome, you could maybe utilize this one journal for multiple years, so you could kind of see you could do different reflections and stuff like that if you wanted to, because there are a lot of pages in here that are not linked, so you could duplicate them. And actually on the pages that she wants you to be able to duplicate, she says that. So if I click on the spell shop, we'll start with that. We'll click on this. It brings me to this page. So I picked the book review that has the spice rating in it, and I do have spice rating stickers. I'll show those to you really quick. I put them all in this elements folder. If you're using Goodreads, she does give you an elements pack, so that they will be in your elements. That's where I keep mine. So this is the little spice stickers. You get 1 through 5 chili peppers, 5 being the most. And again, these can be resized specifically to fit these little chili peppers, which I think is so cute. Just like that. So that's what I used here, and then I will put a piece of washi over the top of this star rating if it's a 6-star book. So you put your book title, and then what I do, I actually can show you really quick last year's reading journal. Here's last year's reading journal, and I'll just show you one that I did rate 6 stars. So Daydream, I made a full spread for, so it's very scrapbooky. It's very what is that called? It's very like bullet journal-y here. So obviously it was a 6-star book for me. I put the cover of the book, and then it's a 6-star book, and it was very low spice. I used these little mood board stickers. I went on Pinterest and I found all of these. And then all of these stickers are stickers that came with this pack. So she has all the stickers in the different colorways that the journals come in, and I love this. So I did a mini book review here, and I put my favorite quote, and again, I just typed in like Daydream, Hannah Grace aesthetic, and it gave me all of these pictures. And then I used these, Soulmates buddy read. I did use this. We'll see, Ori. You're having a sandwich. Didn't you just make a sandwich?
No, because we don't have any jelly.
Okay, then I'll talk to you about it in a minute. Here where this buddy read sticker is, I actually have that covering up where it says book title author, this is like a what? Oops. I have it covered with like a white strip of like blankness, because it seemed redundant to have the book title author there when I also have the book cover, so I can look at the book cover and know who wrote it. But then I put the genre, the date it was published, the number of pages it was, and then I could have put the hours that I listened to as well, because I did listen to this in both ebook and audiobook format, and then my start date and my end date. So that's kind of why I'm using this specific journal this year for my ratings. And then I do cover up the how did I feel reading this book. Basically, like all of this bottom half where it's the how did I feel reading this book, the book summary, the book review, and the favorite parts and notes. Bless me, sorry. I do cover that up because I like to kind of decorate it myself. So that's what's there. And then the next kind of section that I will be using is this series tracker. I probably will just be putting my series tracker in both spots, but this gives me actually more room, which is why I'm thinking I'm going to use this series tracker as opposed to the other one. I will be covering these up with washi, kind of like I did with the other one, but this one allows me to put, or no, actually I won't. That was a lie. I will put the picture of the first picture of the first book for this one in the series tracker, and then I can put the overall rating. I will cover this with washi if it's a 6-star book. And then I click this and it will take me to this little review page. I actually like this series overview page a little bit better. I probably will be using both, if I'm absolutely honest. I will probably be using this more as like a kind of a mood board one, where I will have my author, title, all of that here, because I actually do like the way that this series in this one is a little bit better. Let me show you again so you can see. In this series library, I can actually put yeah, in this one I can actually put the covers of the book so I can see visually what the covers are, and I kind of like that more. But this one would allow me to actually make a cute like mood board for each of the series that I read, so I probably will do that. Okay, then I have the My Collections. I actually really love this. I did fill in one so you can kind of see what this is. This is just for all of your favorite things, and it actually says at the bottom, label each collection however you like and click on each hyperlinked button to access this specific collection. This collection section is designed to keep track of your top favorite books from a specific genre, author, or top books of the year, etc., etc. You can literally make this whatever you want. So my first collection is my 6-star books. So when I click this, it takes me to a collections page. So if this is my 6-star books collection, I would put the picture of the book. Obviously I'd put that it's 6 stars, right? And then the book, and then all of the information about the book and any thoughts that I have about the book would go here. So this is just an easy way, and you can duplicate. It actually says at the bottom, if you need more space, duplicate this page and paste it after this one, because none of this is linked except the back to my collection spot. That's the only thing on that page that's linked. So if you have a 6-star book collection, you can duplicate this as many times as you want, and it'll always say collection 1 at the top, and it will have like your label at the top. But that way I can keep track of all my 6-star books at a glance and just flip through them. I probably will do another collection that's like favorite dark romances, favorite, and I'm probably going to do the rest of these honestly by genre. But you get 10 collections, so I'll do my 6-star books, and then I'll probably do them by genre. So favorite fantasies, favorite thrillers, all of that in here. I really love that addition to that, so I will be using that page. Next, we have my did not finish page. I will be using this. I do have a template that I will also probably be using. I'm going to see how I feel, whether I want to use the template or this page, but I did keep this so I can use it for the date, the book title, the author, and the reason I DNF'd it. And then we have the reading challenges. So I'm going to walk through all these reading challenges because I will be utilizing all of them. I love it. So we have the 10 book reading challenge, and I will actually be superimposing book covers over this. So this is just an example of how I will do it. But basically I will just take this, and this will just help me to see how many books I read throughout the year. I believe these go up to like 100, and I would have to stretch this if I want it to completely take up everything, but it doesn't stretch it too badly, honestly. So I would basically do that. Oh, that's not straight at all. Give me 1 second. Obviously it doesn't have to be perfect because I'm not actually gonna leave this on here. But then what I would do is say that I've read my 10 books, and then we go to the next challenge, and there's 25. So I would take that, and I would take all those 10 books that I've already read, and I would resize them because now they're already stretched. So I would just resize them to fit on the 25 tracker, and so on and so forth to the 50 challenge and the 100 book challenge. Oh, I think this goes to 150. Okay, so I would basically just, as I finish each challenge, I would just move the books over and resize them. But this goes all the way to a 200 book challenge, which is so fun. But I just like to see them all covered in, I just like to see them covered. But you could color these in as well if you wanted. But I will be utilizing book covers. That way I can see the books that I read. Then you have your 52 books in 52 weeks. Start date, date completed. This is literally just, I don't know that I'll do this one because that means it would be basically a book a week, which I probably could do. But I think how I'm going to actually utilize this is, instead of doing it specifically how she's had right now, where you read 1 book a week, it will be the first book of each week that I finish will go in here. Then you have your 12 books in 12 months. So this would just be the first book of each month that I finish. and then your A to Z challenge. Which this is a little, mine in my other one specifically has a theme that I will be picking. But this one, I think I will just do it as like, oh, I read a book that starts with A, and I'll just plop it in here. And then this is a reading bingo. I actually love this. I probably will be utilizing this. So you fill in the circle as you complete each reading challenge. I'll let this go the entire year. But you have different prompts. So a book from bestseller list, a book that has a movie adaptation, a book set in the future. And I'll just fill these in as I read them. Then we have the My Favorites section. This is the last section I'm going to be using. And this is literally what it sounds like. So I have a spot for favorite books here. Again, you can duplicate all these pages, but these are favorite books. So any of, I could theoretically use this as my 6-star books if I choose to. Any favorite authors, favorite books by this author, favorite quote from this author, all of that. Any that I want to read, any finished books. I do also have these in my other journal, and they have a bit more room, so I may not utilize these. And then any favorite quotes, which I will probably be utilizing this page. I actually really love how this favorite quotes is laid out, because you can put the quote, and then it has a spot for you to put the title of the book, the author, the chapter you read it in, and the page number that it was on, and then any notes about that thing. So that is my book journal setup for, we're actually going to stop this now. Yay. But that is my book, and I'll make myself big for editing me. But that is my book journal setup for 2025. If you have any questions, you can leave them down below. That's just kind of how I'm choosing to do it. Once I have like my dream journal made, then I will be back to only using one journal at a time, which is ultimately what I'm wanting, is to be able to just use one journal every year. Even if I maybe pay to have like the colors changed or something, but ultimately I would like just that perfect journal that kind of utilizes everything. But I'm using these 2 journals to kind of figure out exactly what I want in a journal, so I can put everything that I want in one journal. So that is really all I have for today. If you let me know if you use a reading journal and whether it is physical or digital, and comment down below what your reading journal setup looks like, or if maybe I helped you to come up with your own. That would be awesome as well. I'll be playing with some other reading journal setups throughout the year to see what my, planner piece is, because I do have planner piece when it comes to my actual planner that I use for the year. But for reading journals, I'm still kind of trying to find that perfect thing that has all of the stuff in it that I need. If you don't really have anything to comment, leave me some kind of journaling emoji down below, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.